Well, hello there. Welcome back to my channel. If you didn't know, my name is Liv and I'm an independent author, and my novel Saving Summer comes out on June 15th. I'm filming these a little bit out of order, so when you see this, you will have already seen the cover reveal. I just wanted to film this one today while I have time to do so. Today's video is, as you can tell by the title, 5 facts about Saving Summer with no spoilers. There will be a version that contains spoilers after the book is released. I just want to give people a chance to read it before I put up a video with spoilers in it. So just jumping right in. All right, so the first fact is that the original title of the book was Saving You. I it had that title for about 2 days until I changed it. I actually hadn't named Summer's character when everything came together in my head for what I wanted to do when I started outlining. So my working title was Saving You up until I actually named the characters. I will get more into this in my 10 facts with spoilers video, but essentially the day that I had the idea for this version, I remember so vividly because basically the idea for Saving Summer had been bouncing around in my head on and off since late 2017 in various different versions. And I would go back and forth on like, is it going to be a short story? Is it going to be a series? Like, what am I going to do? Like, what's going to happen in the end ultimately? And I would go back and forth, and it would eventually, like, between 2017 and 2019 when I started outlining and writing it, it would just fade in and out. I'd get distracted by a project I would have rather worked on. I'd get busy with something like school and just forget about it altogether. But it would keep coming back. And I vividly remember this day. It was November 6th, 2019. I was in my British literature class at UD with Professor Kendra. So, if Professor Kendra, if you're watching this, I'm really sorry for what I'm about to tell you I did during that class day. but I was just in the middle of that class, and then all of a sudden, it was like it just came to me. Like it had come back into my mind as an idea in like a couple weeks leading up to that, but it was in that moment in that class where all of a sudden my brain was just like, I know exactly what I want to do. I know exactly how you have to write this. And I was just sitting there. I'm like, okay, there's like an hour left in this class. I really want to start outlining this. I don't know what to do. Like, I can't go home for another hour. I have to pay attention. I need this class for my major. But I was just like, you know what, screw it. So I open up Microsoft Word and I start dumping this outline out into Microsoft Word with like, character 1 boy, character 2 girl, like here's what's happening, here's like a basic outline of what happens, here's some major scenes, like just typing it all up in, I call them scatter pages. I did it a lot more when I was in high school and I didn't have a laptop because I went to high school before we had laptops in class. We had computer lab in my day, class of 2013. But when all I had was a notebook to work with, I would take notes in my notebook. I'd be like, okay, I need to add this, I need to do that, I need to change this. And I would call it my scatter page. And so I basically started doing that in Microsoft Word during this British literature class. And I was just writing as much as I could while still trying to pay attention to the class. And I remember I raced home after this, and I sat down and I was meeting a friend for a late lunch, like a couple hours after I got home. So I was like, I have a very limited amount of time in which I can start writing this and still have time to get ready to meet my friend. So I just started up a document and I was like, saving you. That's it. That's the name. And so I called it Saving You. And then and then after I named Summer, I was like, that's got a nice ring to it, Saving Summer. And so I didn't ever rename the document. Like in my Scrivener files, it is still called Saving You. If you watched my Scrivener tutorial, you can see the document is called Saving You. I actually went and rewatched that the other day because I was just checking all the videos that I had up on my channel just to make sure I didn't want to like private anything or redo any of them. And it was so interesting to see that early version of the book because I don't want to say so many things have changed, but just like seeing the first page and like, whoa, like a few things are different now. It was weird. Anyway, that's not what you're here for. So that was my first fun fact, is that the original title was Saving You, but as I said, that only lasted for like 2 days. So speaking of college, my second fun fact is that I actually used the first chapter of Saving Summer as my as my critique sample for a fiction writing class I took in the fall of 2020. So it was an earlier version, and I remember there was like a 10 or 15 page limit on your critique sample, and the first chapter, the first chapter is the longest chapter in the book just because half of it takes place in a different timeline. That's not a spoiler, that's literally the plot. But like the first half of it takes place in a different timeline. And so the first chapter is the longest at 30 pages. And so I had to cut out some things to like fit it into the little sample size for this critique. I remember I cut out I can't say what I cut out without giving spoilers. But it skipped around quite a bit. And so like I remember one of the critiques I got was like, this is a really jarring jump from this bit to this bit. Like I feel like some stuff should happen in between here. And I was like, funny you mentioned that. But there were things I ended up adding. Like people said that, this part doesn't really make sense. Like you should change it a little bit. Like, or this isn't really, or like this happens too fast, and it was something that actually happened that fast. And I was like, I was gonna say something, but then I'm like, it's kind of a spoiler. It's not really a spoiler because like if you've read the description of the book, you know this happens. But I just like I don't know. I feel like it's pushing it, so I'm not gonna say it. But there were things that I got a lot of really helpful critiques from that critique session. Um, and I did incorporate a lot of the feedback that I got from it. I remember one of the things is I'll tell you this one thing. So Marta, who is Summer's best friend in the story, she originally her name was Kirsty, and the reason I ended up changing it is because one of the critiques I got was that it was too similar to Katie, who's another character that you meet kind of early on, and I don't know why I actually ended up changing Marta because Katie is in like 3 scenes in the whole book, but and Marta's like a pretty consistent character. But I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna change that character. I will say one of my like favorite critiques that I got that I thought maybe not favorite, but like the one I thought was the most interesting was that somebody commented like that they thought this was going to be a supernatural. I mean, there is a time jump, so like, but um, but she said that she thought it was going to be like a supernatural series and that she had bet that Summer's character was going to turn out to be an alien. And I just thought that was really interesting, but I can't say why I thought that was so interesting without kind of giving a spoiler, so I'm gonna hold off on that one. Now I'm gonna tell you from my third fun fact how I came up with Summer's name. All right, so we're going back to November 6th, 2019. I was in the living room of my sorority house, just tapping away at my MacBook, but this is before the E and F keys fell off. My little MacBook Pro 2018 with now 3 missing keys, or not missing, but like they just fall off if I touch them the wrong way. But anyway, that's not what I'm recording on right now. I got a new computer, but so I just typing away, and I was like, okay, I gotta name this character. And I was thinking like I had just been a summer camp counselor in the summer of 2019, and one of my favorite campers, all right, if any of my old campers are watching this, first of all, hi, it's Aqua. I go that if you don't know that, if you didn't recognize me, but second, like if any of my campers are watching this, I said one of my favorites. All right, her name was Summer, and she was just very interesting, so she really stuck with me, like her personality. Summer is not at all based on her, not even a little bit. I just ended up using her name because I was thinking about it and I was like, I like the name Summer. It was a name I hadn't used for a character yet, and I was thinking like there's like a little bit of symbolism in it because Summer, because like the book takes place, like the main catalytic event of the book takes place in the summertime. And when I think of, and like given the subject matter of the book, when I think of like the absolute highest highs and lowest lows of my mental health, it is always in the summer. Like it is always in the summer. I am either having the time of my life or I'm at rock bottom during the summer. There is no in between. That's a lie. There's definitely like been mid summers, but but I was thinking like because the book is so focused on mental health, I was thinking that could be a little bit of symbolism for me personally, like naming her Summer. And so I decided that I was going to go with it. But the inspiration did come from one of my favorite campers named Summer. All right, so fun fact number 4. This requires a little bit of background explanation. So when I outline my books, I use a calendar, um, just to help with consistency when it comes to dates and days of the week and stuff, because I am forever traumatized by when in elementary and middle school when I was obsessed with the click books, if you know, you know, and it was Halloween on a Friday 2 years in a row, and I will never shut up about it. It did something to preteen me, okay? Like, like I will never forget that it was Halloween on a Friday 2 years in a row in the click books. Like, don't even get me started on all the continuity errors. But like that was where my reader pet peeves began, was with those and the continuity errors, because I ate those up. They were my Roman Empire, but they also stressed me out. Continuity errors are something that have always bothered me when it comes to TV shows and movies and books and any form of media. Any form of media. So, as a writer, I am always trying to be hyper conscious of continuity, to the point that I care about things that nobody else cares about. If I ever show you one of my outlines, one day I am going to make a video explaining how I outline. I don't know when it's going to be. It's not going to be with Saving Summer. But one day down the road, I will show y'all a video of the insane way that I outline, and make note of things that literally nobody else cares about but me. So I always use a calendar when I outline, to avoid continuity errors when it comes to dates and days of the week and days of the year and stuff. And I will pick a year. It's 9 times out of 10 the actual year that it is when I'm writing. So Saving Summer would have been 2019. That would have been the year that I picked. When I was at college, I brought this flash drive with me, from home, that had so many things saved on it, because I am a file hoarder. Okay, it takes a lot for me to delete something off my computer, because I never know when I might need something. I just have all these files hoarded onto this flash drive. Um, Most of which I never use, but they're there if I ever want them. And I took that to college with me because I was like, you never know, I might need them. And so when I was going to outline Saving Summer and I was looking at a calendar, I was thinking, I wish I had one of my old school calendars that had the block schedule mapped out, because that would be so much easier than just manually going in and, trying to figure out, okay, well, like, but what about teacher and service days and all these things to like keep this calendar lined up? Because as I said, I care about things nobody cares about. I just didn't want it to be like me referencing something that happened last Monday in gym class, but last Monday was a B day and Summer didn't have gym class or something like that. Like, I didn't want any chance of a continuity error, because I am insane. Because I care about things that nobody else cares about. Um, and so I was like, I wish I had one of my old school calendars that had a block schedule mapped off, so I could just base the timeline off of that and just not worry about it and not have to like manually do it myself. And so then I got to thinking, I bet on that old flash drive, I've got an old school calendar somewhere on it. So sure enough, I plug it in. I go into like the depths of the folders that I have on there, and I find a 2010, 2011 Branham High School calendar. And I am just like, okay, I'm using this. And so when I wrote out the timeline, I was using 2010, 2011 as the dates. When I wrote flashbacks to third grade, they took place in like 2002, I want to say, um, because I was using this as my calendar. And I wasn't going to I wasn't ever going to say the year in the book. I was just going to write it and be like it wasn't supposed to be based, like it wasn't supposed to be actually set in that year. I was just using that as my outline. But then I thought maybe it would be fun if I did try to write it set in 2010, but just not mention it and just see how much I could get away with. Because like obviously, high school now is very very different than high school back then. So I started wondering like, what if I just wrote this as if it were 2010 and see how much stuff holds up. A lot of it did not. I did have to change a lot of things because I did ultimately want to keep it neutral, so that, when you write a book that is very clearly set in the current day and age, it ages very quickly. And I am aware that, like, there are things that age quickly no matter what. So like you're not gonna fully get out of writing a completely timeless book unless you write like fantasy set in a completely different universe or something like that, and that is not what I do. but but I wanted to keep it as neutral as possible. I just thought, how much of it could be neutral if I wrote it set in 2010. And there were definitely things that did not hold up. Like I remember one of the things my editor pointed out is because if you were in high school in 2010, okay, if you were in high school in the 2010s, you know that like it if somebody had a slide out keyboard phone and an iPod touch instead of an iPhone, that like told you so much about them with just that one fact. So originally when I was writing the story, I had Nolan point out Summer had a keyboard phone and an iPod touch, because I wanted to establish her. I just wanted to establish that about her. There's really not, that I know of, an equivalent of that today, but also nobody has slide out keyboard phones anymore. Like that would like there was no way for her to have a slide out keyboard phone and have it be more neutral as far as the year that the book was set in. So I was like, okay, well, I'll come up with something else, because I was just like, oh, man, that would have said so much with so little. And I ended up changing most of the things that just really did not hold up. The only thing that I think is still very obviously from that experiment is the fact that the characters go to a Bruno Mars concert and he only plays songs from his first album. Like there were certain things about that scene that I didn't want to change because I liked the way I wrote them so much, and like especially one of the references to one of the songs, which I'm not giving spoilers. One of the things that happens at that concert with one of those songs in the background, I'm just like, I'm not changing that. I am not. So that's probably the only thing that doesn't really hold up. I'll even tell you another little fun fact is that I actually looked up, because I wanted to use that song. I wanted to use the song that I used for one of those scenes, so I actually looked up, did he have a concert in the fall of 2010? I actually did look up and find what date he would have been playing in that part of California. And I was like, you know what? I am going with this. I am going with this. I'm using that as part of my timeline. This is like the actual date of the concert is going to be the actual date that they go in the book. And I didn't change that. So and you'll see what scene I'm talking about when you read the book. So my last fun fact. The fountain. So I'm assuming you've seen the cover reveal at the time that I'm posting this, because this is going up after the cover reveal. I have seen the cover. I haven't posted the reveal yet because I'm still waiting for Amazon to, because I want my pre-order to be live when I post it, and I'm waiting for some issues with my Amazon files to work themselves out. But but you've seen the cover. So one of the major features of the cover is a fountain. So just so for your last fun fact, I do want to tell you that fountain was not in the original draft. That fountain, like, the fountain was not in the original draft. The fountain was not a thing for over a year after I started writing the book. So like that fountain that I specifically told my cover artist, this needs to be the main feature, was not even in the first draft of the book. It was actually after my critique session with my fiction writing class in the fall of 2020, that I came up with the idea for the initial event that happens with the fountain, which is in chapter 1. You can download a free preview on my website and find out what I'm talking about, but I won't say exactly because I said this is no spoilers. Uh, but the initial event that happens with the fountain, I added after that critique session with my fiction writing class. Um, so that was roughly a year after I had started writing the book. But the significance of the fountain, the significance of the fountain, which I can't tell you without giving spoilers. You have to actually read the book, but the significance of the fountain, I didn't even add it until like, I want to say, so fiction writing was like November 2020, and then when I finished my beta reading draft in January of 2021, I feel like it was either it was either very, very shortly before I had sent out, like, it was either one of the like last things that I came up with to add to that final draft before I sent it to beta readers, or it was something I came up with during beta reading. I genuinely don't remember. So, but it was not an original plot point. For me to think of like how significant to the story that fountain is now, that to the point where I needed it to be on the book cover versus like when I started writing there was no fountain. Like that's insane to me. But anyway, this was 5 fun facts about saving summer with no spoilers. Stay tuned for my next video. I don't actually know what it will be because I'm filming these out of order, so I forget. But uh, but yeah, I'm going to go see Fall Out Boy tonight. So I will I will have a lot of fun doing that, and I will see you guys next time I make a video. Bye.